you've written in the past about if parents knew what was being taught at the college level, and if an individual like myself only has so much time, it looks to me like the more serious problem is K through 12 than college level, and so where should I devote my time?
Oh my, that is a tough one. There's more than enough that needs to be done at every single level from kindergarten to the graduate school. One of the things that protects American education is the fact that American universities are in fact leading universities of the world. But that's very misleading, because some of these universities are so good that it's very hard for American college students to get into them. And if you separate out the various fields and you go from the silliest and simplest, such as education, all the way over to the other end of the spectrum, math and engineering and science, you find that the percentage of the PhDs which go to Americans are the highest over here in education, sociology, psychology, etc. And then as you proceed across the spectrum, that percentage declines until finally you get over to mathematics and engineering, where less than half of all the PhDs awarded in American universities go to Americans. And so what we really have are international universities on American soil, supported by American taxpayers, with a very large component of foreign professors and students. And this is what is used to justify the American educational system. But of course, the kids who come here from elsewhere come here with much stronger backgrounds. I was surprised recently to learn that out in Silicon Valley, they're actually recruiting engineers from Russia and India, not because they're necessarily better than American engineers, but because they speak English better. Over here, I guess. Well, someone else in the back. I'll get to you next.
Two things. First of all, Professor Sowell, how does the, assuming that parents play a major role in the education of students, how can social legislation, how can cosmic justice be created when parents do not provide atmospheres conducive to learning in certain minority communities in New York, for instance? My second question is... Well, wait,
are you asserting this as a fact?
Assuming that parents play a role and the teachers cannot play the only role in the education of students, how can cosmic justice be created in an atmosphere where parents have not created a conducive learning atmosphere?
I think as they say in the law, you're assuming a fact, not an evidence. I know this is one of the great beliefs in the educational establishments, that all problems in the educational establishment are caused outside the educational establishment. The evidence on that is not compelling. And what is especially not compelling is the determined effort of the NEA and other parts of the educational establishment to prevent this belief from being put to a test. If it is the case that the problems are all outside the system, they're in the parents, then why do they fight bitterly against all forms of choice and vouchers, which would allow you to find out that if we take the same kid with the same parents, watching presumably the same television programs as he always watched and so on, having the same attitudes, and transfer him over into a parochial school or some other kind of school, why don't we find out whether in fact he will not improve at all, because it was never the school's fault in the first place. The bitterness of these battles are hard to exaggerate. In California, they sent so-called truth squads around when people were trying to sign up petitions to get this issue on the ballot. And some of these people were not above using intimidation tactics to prevent people from signing. In New Jersey, one of the big companies, I think it was Pepsi-Cola, was prepared to give scholarships to low-income kids to go from the public schools into the private schools. They were so bitterly opposed to this that suddenly Pepsi-Cola machines in the schools began to be vandalized, and Pepsi had to back off its offer. So if it is in fact the case that all these problems originate outside the school system, why then are they not willing to put that belief to the test?
I think we have time for one more question.
Yes. Well, there's a gentleman here, I promised.
That's fair, yeah.
Do you think that the revival of what is deemed to be merit-based financial aid at the college level will be a force for merit in the college admissions process, or do you think the colleges will apply their cosmic justice criteria in the allocation of merit-based aid?
They may try, but I think the very fact that they've been backed into this is not something they wanted to do. In fact, it's fascinating to read in the Chronicle of Higher Education and other places all the mea culpas of college presidents who've found themselves driven to actually awarding scholarships on the basis of scholarship. It is absolutely a dogma of the establishment that aid should not be based upon any form of production. It's the only place in the American society where there's absolutely anathema to reward people for doing better.